It's been just a few weeks since Humankind's latest public playable build, Victor OpenDev. While full of improvements over Lucy, the game still needs some work, and you can check out my dedicated video critique to the devs in the top right corner to see my feedback. 2 weeks ago, I was invited to a special closed event by Amplitude Studios where we received a preview build with 2 scenarios. Play an entire 250 turns starting from the Neolithic era into the Industrial Age, or start a preset campaign that started straight in the early modern era with the Industrial era just in reach. Nothing was withheld from those who played, and afterwards we were able to ask about what we played and other broader scope questions we had in mind. In this event, I focused more on just general gameplay. We only had a small amount of time to play, and I didn't try to go for the absolute most powerful builds along any of the normal paths, so I wasn't actually able to reach the end of the Industrial, but I was able to get decently deep into it, and I have to say, I had a great bit of fun with it. In this video, I'll go into what I enjoyed about the Industrial Age from both scenarios, what's changed from a gameplay perspective with regards to balance and strategy, and how the game felt overall with this new playable age in place. So, let's dive into why Humankind's Industrial Age is not what I expected it to be. Starting with long-term focus. This is a bit of a strange concept to talk about, and not just because it can seem like an obvious one. Because you have so many civilizations to choose from, it can often seem like just bouncing from culture to culture is a fun and laid-back experience that lets you explore the game. What I found in my time playing in the Industrial Age is that this is the age where your past decisions really come to true fruition, at least in this build. Again, I wasn't min-maxing as some others may have, but what I did see was that the type of culture I was going for, aesthete, science, money, trade combination of all, was exponentially pronounced starting in the Industrial Age. Why is that? Well, it's in the Industrial Age that your population can really start to explode. You see, your districts give the cities jobs throughout the game, in case you didn't know. While you still have to balance district building with stability, what you were doing in the previous eras is creating a huge number of potential jobs for your population to fill up in your cities. It's in the Industrial Age that technology vamps up benefits for your population and for jobs. So, naturally, population starts to boom, therefore filling up the job slots your districts provided, which is also vamped up thanks to the improvements you unlock during your time playing the entire campaign. I won't say that it snowballs, simply because once your city hits that population limit, any extra people it creates simply die off, forcing you to up your job cap or else. But what it does create is a launch forward that is historically accurate in a sense, and also creates a real strategic focus on what builds you might want to play with Humankind because cultures are more impactful. Running off of the last point about a launch forward with the game, it's not a wonder that cultures in this era become much more important to choose from. Also, as technology progresses, the benefits from the unique buildings and units are simply, well, more impactful. For these examples, let's set a standard of, say, 40 population and or jobs in your cities. So equally spread out, that's 10 traders, 10 researchers, 10 workers, and 10 farmers. Now, check out the Italians, who get 1 influence per trader and researcher, 1 base influence, and 2 influence per commons quarters with their Teatro unique building. If you have 5 commons quarters, that's 31 influence per turn, per Teatro, which you can build once in every territory. You have 5 territories in your city, that is 155 influence per turn based on that unique building alone. Not to mention their unique unit, the Alpini, can cross cliffs, which is a massive battle game changer. Let's look at the French, who received a straight up 20% bonus to science with their unique building giving 1 science per population. 40 people? That's 40 extra science per territory in a city. 5 territories, 200 science from that building alone. While not every culture has this bonkers crazy increase in the same areas, the points stand. It wasn't until the Industrial Age that I started seeing these big increases across the board with resources, and it was really cool to see how this escalates every aspect of the game to create much bigger events that needed confronting. I tried 4 industrial age cultures, and they all seemed to have some solid punch in their own areas, which was great to see play out. And it also created a very different late game experience, one that seemed like it was working towards a faster yet slower campaign. The industrial age is when everything speeds up. I've already mentioned this several times already. Population booms, tech becomes crazier and way more advanced, and your cities are now truly becoming mega city-esque in their expansion and grandeur. So what naturally evolved was this idea of a faster campaign in regards to a variety of areas. Unit upgrades become more pronounced. I was still fighting spearmen and heavy swords with my gunpowder troops at points in my campaign. The city structure of improvements in districts see much larger leaps in resource production. Even with regards to religion and influence spread, it can get expansive quickly, which in turn gives you plenty of potential crises to call out your neighbors and fuel some solid war progression. Yet there's a couple of aspects that also can really slow down how the campaign feels and plays, namely the number of cities themselves. With the cap on cities and the structure of stability as it stands now, this isn't like Civilization, where you can have 20 plus cities all churning out units like mad or spamming their forms of districts. In each of my campaigns, by the time I reached that industrial age, I had maybe 4 cities-ish, even if each of those cities had 3 to 5 territories attached to them. That means at most I could crank out 4 units every 1 to 2 turns, if I was dedicating every city to it, which you won't always want to do. This causes a bit of a production slowdown, as you can't build everything you want to so quickly like in other games. You are limited by those number of cities, and you end up having to really focus on whether you want that wonder badly enough to forego making some units in a war, or if you can handle building a new unit instead of boosting your food production with a harbor. As I've said before, anytime you make the player choose between 2 really hard decisions, it's a win in my strategic book. The biggest cause for a slowdown in campaign progression, though, is larger armies, longer wars. We've seen the start of this in the open devs, but it very much comes to fruition in this industrial age setting. There are a handful of technologies that increase your army size, and at one point I was able to have 9 units in my armies. That's a pretty dang huge army in the scope of the game, and no doubt will hopefully be able to be even larger as you enter the modern age. Now, to refresh your memory of how battles operate in Humankind, because it is relevant to this video. Each battle has an offense and a defense. It's the job of the offensive army to take and hold the defender's flag to win the battle. Each unit gets to move within their own full round. Each army gets 3 rounds to stay in the battle, using things like terrain and unit bonuses to their fullest effect. If there is no winner after those 3 rounds, the battle will continue to the next turn, with no outside reinforcements able to participate that did not engage in the first initial battle. There are 6 turns in a full battle, so 18 rounds each side gets to fight. If the offensive hasn't taken the flag, the defender wins, even if there are units left on the offensive side. You see where I'm going with this? In one of my run-throughs that started in the early modern age, my 8 Praetorian Guard and Samurai were up against upwards of, I think, 20 to 30 enemy units, from warriors and spearmen to city defenders. The AI was super aggressive in this build and would counterattack your siege immediately, thus triggering this 300 Spartan-esque battle. I've never had a battle last the full 6 turns, as waves and waves of units pour over cliffs and around flanks to try and take me out, but goodness gracious, did that battle seem to take ages, although not necessarily in a bad way. Nothing slows down a war or a battle quite like having to spend upwards of 6 to 10 turns just to finally take out an enemy town or a very large enemy army. And it's something you'll actually have to think about when it comes to wars in general. If you are the instigator of a war this late in the game, every turn you are not actively taking out towns or wiping out armies, you are losing that war. 6 turns to take out a single army, or 12 to 18 turns to finally take out a town, will have drastic effects on your war support, and could be the defining feature on how or why you lose. It's a very interesting take on wars this late in the game, and I think it will have a great impact on the strategic side of your battles and to your overall war strategy. With all of these factors in mind during my time playing, I've obviously got some thoughts on the game. The video title wasn't some super clickbaity thing to draw you into a lackluster and content hollow video. I truly was not expecting to see some of these features pop up during my time playing from both the Neolithic start and the predefined scenario. The Industrial Age will see some decent changing to how your empire operates. I didn't even go into the social aspects of the age in this video, namely because it wasn't my focus. But you are going to see things start rapidly changing, even if the game starts to slow down from having to do more between each turn. It won't be a handful of turns where you had samurai slicing and dicing your enemy to the end of that battle and you've got gunpowder units waiting for you to rip you to shreds. Believe me, it actually happened. Seeing your population explode and figuring out how to balance job creation with food production, with unit creation, and then handling wars and diplomacy, it's a lot, but it's not overwhelming, and it's a great fit for the game as we've seen it. Overall, what I saw in my campaigns was that there was a good balance that was struck, and my snowball didn't occur quite like it had with previous open devs. And that's a very, very good sign considering that our build was created not too long after Victor Open Dev itself. For me, it was a good confidence boost that Amplitude has their stuff in line, and what we are going to see in August will be a much more refined and well-crafted game from the Neolithic to the space race, and I, for one, am eager to play the game in full more than ever. That will be all for this video on the Industrial Age and Humankind. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, sub to the channel, and click on the notification bell so you're always up to date with future ones. I will be putting out 2 more videos on Humankind this week, a clean environmental Sounds of Humankind video, and one on a few development updates and interview questions, so stick around the channel this week and give them both a watch. If you've already decided you want to pre-order Humankind, you can do so through my Nexus link down in the description. Your purchase supports this channel, which will always be appreciated, but never, ever expected. Stay tuned for more Humankind videos. This is Havoc, and I will see you in the next one.